Hello and welcome to Nobody Listens to Me Anyway, my podcast where you either listen or you don't. I don't know. I don't care. Hi, my name's Kalaki, and today I have a special guest who is actually my IRL friend. I know nobody's going to believe me that I have a real friend from a long time ago, but we actually met through not cosplay or TikTok or Twitch or Discord, which is like shocking because that's where all of my friends come from nowadays. But we met through real life when I had a, job that, kind of went along with my career, which was exercise science and physical therapy and biology. If you didn't know that I went to school for that, I know it's shocking because I don't talk about it all that much, but I did go to medical school and I worked in the physical therapy field for 2 years. I graduated in 2018 and I worked in a physical therapy company for 2 years, and when COVID hit and I got furloughed, I ended up quitting and doing this full time. But regardless of that, in 2018 when I joined my company, we had a company party class exercise group activity thing, and we had to end up build a bus out of cardboard. I'm not going to explain that one. And that's when I met my best friend of now going on 5 years, Min, who is here to join me today. And we're going to talk about some topics, including mental health, depression, anxiety, dealing with it, coping with it, because she also has a degree in health sciences, and we are not professionals in therapy or mental health, but we do have degrees in exercise and physical and types of health like that. So take everything we say with a grain of salt, and the fact that we are both very mentally ill people ourselves, and we are coping the best we can. And sometimes it's just nice to know that you're not alone and have people able to relate to you and talk with you about things. And so we're going to be talking about a bunch of sensitive topics. So if that's not for you, that's okay. Check out my other episodes, even though most of my episodes on this podcast are kind of sensitive and hard topics. But, that's your personal choice. But this could also be a helpful episode for you. So maybe stick around, check it out, and see what you can do. But we're going to be talking about our friendship and the fact that we met through bus building and watching anime.
Yeah, watching anime, and I don't even remember what else.
We watched the whole entirety of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra together.
Oh yeah, we did do that as our very first friendship activity, which was fun. It was nice to revisit something nostalgic, and we both had just interest in it.
What did we used to watch?
I feel like the Studio Ghibli movies were definitely a
you were the one who introduced me to Howl's Moving Castle.
Did I really?
Yeah, you gave me the DVD.
Oh shit.
You're the
That's
one who
so
gave
crazy.
me the DVD.
What else did we... I forget what we did for our very first little friend date. I remember I came to your house and we made grilled cheese, I think?
No, we did not make grilled cheese.
No?
We might have, honestly. But I think that's embarrassing. How old were we?
20s, mid-20s.
22, and I was like, hey, you want to come over to my parents' house and make grilled cheese while we watch Avatar?
And I was like, yes.
Okay. That does sound like something we might have done. I know we used to go get wings quite often.
We did get wings. I really just feel like we bonded over crafts and stuff, because when I met you at the event, I was like, oh, you know crafts, because you were like, I know crafts.
We did go to Joanne's drunk once.
That was the best time ever. And I still have my little
it's in my kitchen
framed thing that
live a life of porpoise.
I think mine says something really lame like high tides and summer vibes or something like that, and it's a shadow box of just janky ass shells and sand and plastic.
We thought they were so funny.
The porpoise one is funny. Mine was just I want a match.
It was a dolphin, and I said, I want that for my kitchen. And I have it in my kitchen to this day, and it's stupid.
It's a kitchen decor.
It's something. But yeah, we definitely bonded over crafts, because I remember, I don't cosplay as much anymore, but we were working on cosplays together, or you would help me.
Yeah, definitely.
You helped me redo my Riddler costume when it all fell apart 4 days before con, and I had a meltdown.
That's right. Yeah, you came over and you're like, I'm having a bad time. I'm like, well, maybe I could help.
Oh my god, I hadn't been that angry in so long. Like, my rage was through the roof.
Yeah.
I don't even remember why I was so mad. Like, what was I so angry about that I was, like, throwing a temper tantrum like a child? I still had some pretty bad anger issues at that time, though.
Yeah, I think too, like sometimes in the moment we think of small things as big things because they just, you know, you get caught up in it and then it's just like the world to you in the moment. Like there's so many times in life when, you know, something small just triggers something else almost. Like there could be something else underlying that is going on and you're just already stressed and then like that little thing really pushes you over the edge.
That was definitely, it had to be 2019-ish,
Yeah.
because I wore that costume to Keystone Comic-Con in Philadelphia, and I think that was a fall con, and so we would have had to have been friends for like a year at that point. And I think I was still in a relationship with my ex, and that's probably what it was. It's because of all that mental abuse that like you said, it may just be one small thing, but because you're constantly dealing with abuse or other triggers in life, I just blew up because I was like, well, my entire life's falling apart because this jacket doesn't work. I don't even remember what I was so mad about.
I can't remember if it was like the jacket or the shorts or like something about it wasn't coming together in the costume. And I think too, your ex at the time didn't have like understanding for what you were doing, so probably
he hated my
didn't.
cosplays.
Yeah, he didn't like, you know, actually give you space to just vent about something and or even like offer any solutions, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah, you just kind of feel stuck in your own head with your issue, and yeah, that's how it can kind of manifest and blow up.
Yeah. We love mentally ill relationships, don't we?
I was in a pretty bad one too, if you remember. It was yeah, not good. There was a lot of mental, emotional abuse and just very demeaning. There was gaslighting, I would definitely say, because well, my ex was an alcoholic and he would not remember what he would say when he was drunk. So when we had fights the next day when we got back to him, he's like, I did not say that. I would never say something like that. And I'm like, I was sober, so I remember the conversations clearly.
It's always the gaslighting.
Yeah, it always like, and too, when you first have that situation, you're like, well, maybe I am misremembering.
Maybe
because
I am crazy.
yeah, and because also with like the negging and the just like putting you down, you know, so you already have like a low self-esteem. So then when they say stuff like, there's no way I said that, I would never say something like that. And it was just stuff like, not even about the relationship. It would just be like, I don't know, just like lies, white lies, you know, things that weren't really important. But when they make things out to be like your reality is not real, like you're misremembering such a small detail, like then, you know, you, as the person that's on the receiving end of this abuse, you just start to question yourself. And yeah, so that's where my like true mental health journey started, where we like ended up breaking up and I was just in a really deep depression and I had no self-esteem, no confidence. I was like leaning a lot on my friends, but you know, it's to a point where you're just like, well, I'm just saying the same thing over and over and I'm just still really sad and like broken up about this. Like, how can I pull myself out of this hole? Because I mean, good friends will listen to you when they have the mental capacity and, you know, just listening capabilities. But when you're just upset about the same thing and you're not moving forward, even I was like, wow, I'm like really not a cool person to talk to right now. Like I'm an energy vampire. So I like sought out therapy and just talk therapy. So I went to like an actual sit down therapist that was okay, but it just helped me like jumpstart the journey, you know. And I know like Clocky had helped me a lot through it, so but I can't remember if you said you got into therapy before or not.
Yeah, I did therapy as a child from my childhood trauma, and then I didn't do it in high school because I was okay at that point, and in my college experience, when my second boyfriend ruined my mental health, I ended up going on anxiety medication for the first time as a sophomore in college. I started taking anxiety medication because my ex told me he cheated on me, and I decided that I was going to cope with it. And I was like, yeah, this is fine. I'll learn to get over it. So I'm going to go on medication to deal with my shitty reaction to your shitty behavior. So I started taking anxiety medication, and the first time I went on anxiety medication, I did not have a good reaction to it because I was in such a poor mental state. I even lied to the doctor and my poor mom. If you listen to this episode, I'm sorry. There was that same summer when I was working with my mom. She has a landscaping business. One day when we were on the job, it was like the day or so after he had told me he was cheating on me and I was still dealing with all that. I ended up having like a panic attack at work, and we had to like leave the work, and mom had to drive me to the ER. And the doctors kept asking me, like, are you in a good spot? Like, everything okay? Is this a panic attack or is this an anxiety attack? And I just kept lying and saying it was a panic attack, and I didn't know the cause.
Well, I wouldn't know the difference.
An anxiety attack is that you are stressed. There's environment, there's a trigger, there's something like somebody telling you cheated on you, your family member's sick, and so you start freaking out. A panic attack is when you're just, like, casually, like, this is why I went on medication the second time. We'll get into that a little bit, but where you're just casually like, I'm hanging out with you right now, and we're just watching a movie, and I just have a heart palpitation, and I'm suddenly like, oh my god, I think I'm gonna die. I'm like, why do I feel like this? I'm literally just watching a Studio Ghibli movie. So that's a panic attack. And so they're like telling me, they're like, what's going on? Do you know what's going on? I was like, no, I don't know what's happening. You know, my boyfriend's cheating on me, and I kind of hate my life, and I don't want to exist, but it's fine. No, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why I'm not. My boyfriend and I are fine. We haven't had a fight or anything. So I lied, and then they had to put me on medication in the hospital, and then me and my mom left, and I didn't ever tell mom that I knew Cole was cheating on me, but it's fine. But the first time I went on anxiety medication was after that, and I had a shitty reaction because I was still dealing with the fact that it sucked, and I was like lying to myself that it was my fault because, you know, like, what if maybe I'm not doing enough and that's why they're cheating on me, and maybe I'm not pretty enough, and maybe I'm not good enough at sex or whatever. And there was so much stuff going on that the first time I went on it, I ended up like throwing up violently, like every day for a week. Like I couldn't eat anything. And so like any other time I thought about taking medication the rest of my life, I was like, what if I get that sick again?
Yeah, I would agree. There's just like a lot of barriers to treating mental health too, because like side effects of medication, even if the medication is doing you more harm than good, like I remember I got like anxiety before starting a new medication, and I ended up not even doing it because like I had an issue that was related to my job, and then I ended up just quitting my job, so like the stressor went away, and then I didn't have to take the medication. But yeah, like I know a lot of people that are on medication for anxiety and depression, and it like kind of worries me about if you don't have access to the medication, or the side effects that you have to deal with, or like medication interactions if you're on other things. But I know everybody that is on the medication that they are on now, they had to go through a couple trials, but whatever they are currently on is like really working well for them, and it helps them kind of just like get a glimpse of what it's like to be normal. Like there's so many times when you're just like like every once in a while you have a good day, you're like, wait, is this how normal people get to feel?
This is what it's like when I'm not mentally ill.
I know, like it's just so unfair.
But that first time on medication was definitely... So medication can help a lot of people. I'm currently on it now. I started it about a year ago because I was having anxiety and panic attacks frequently. I was having panic attacks for a while, so the untriggered ones. Then I started having anxiety attacks when my boyfriend got very ill, and it was just very heavy on me, and I was kind of losing control. I would be up all night throwing up. I ended up calling my dad at 4 a.m. and he, the hero that he is, answered and stayed on the phone with me until like 10 a.m. the next day while I cried and threw up laying on my deck in the middle of winter until my mom came over, and I cried with her and I got into the medication, and it's been great for me now. I think I'm in a better control of who I am as a person. So mental health medication can help you, but at the same time you do need things that we're going to talk about in a moment about like other ways to understand what your mental health is and how to control them. So now I'm kind of in touch with who I am as a person. I took time to learn who I am, how to cope, know what triggers, and maybe I know it's a panic attack, but sometimes with a panic attack, you're like, what if I'm having a heart attack and I'm dying? But now I'm taking the time to analyze it. I'm going, okay, I'm fine. I ate today. I drank water today. I did go for a walk today. I saw the sun today. So I'm probably not dying.
Yeah.
This is just a thing. But when you're in a really, really poor mental health state, when you start medication, like I was when I was in college, you can't always tell what the silver lining actually is. And you're like, maybe I am actually just dying and this medication isn't what I needed. So probably at that time, which is exactly what happened, that helped me properly adjust, was the medication wasn't enough for me. And that's when I started seeing my therapist in school. We had a sports therapist that worked specifically with the athletes because I was a collegiate athlete. And so I started seeing him frequently. I also lied to my therapist and never told him my boyfriend was cheating on me because I was too embarrassed to admit it because I knew I was crazy for staying with him. But I never told anyone that he was cheating on me, and I went and saw therapy, and he helped me a lot. And so being with him helped control me on the medication, whereas now I definitely have some mental health problems, but I'm more in control of the fact that I definitely could use therapy. Anybody could, but I don't need it right now. And so that's why I'm able to manage the medication I'm on now with fine, no symptoms, nothing's wrong. But in college, I was in such a poor state that I had to seek other forms. And not only that, but I was doing yoga and meditation and breathing at the time because I was not in control. And so you have to seek other forms of help when maybe things are way lower. It's not a one-time fix all. Like, it's the same thing with a migraine where everybody has a different type of migraine. So taking Tylenol doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes you have to drink coffee. Sometimes you have to take a nap. Sometimes you have to lay on ice. Sometimes you have to lay on heat.
Drink water, you guys.
You need water. Sometimes you need ibuprofen. Sometimes you need Advil. Or sometimes you need allergy medicine. It is a weird thing. Migraines are such a weird concoction of medication to get rid of, and it's the same thing with mental health. It's not a one-time fix all. You can't just take Lexapro, which I believe is what I'm on now. You can't just take Lexapro and be like, look how beautiful the sun is today. My life is great and it's all rainbows. You have to do other things.
Yeah, and I would say like it's probably even better to start with some of the other things like going outside, touching grass.
As cliche as that
is.
Like
it's real for a reason. Like it helps. Like you don't have to actually touch grass, but if you want to sit down on some grass, like it just gives you a different sensation, like being in nature. And
I know you don't think you're a plant, but we do actually kind of need to photosynthesize a little bit.
Yeah, if you honestly sit outside in the sun for 10 minutes a day, you'll feel different in a week. Like it's a form of self-care. I know sometimes it's like hard to even shower or eat, but like just crack a window and like sit for a little bit without any stimulations, and that should help because you're just kind of breaking out of your little mold of whatever, mental health trap you're in. Like I know like when I get into really bad depression, I like would just lay down on my living room floor for like hours on end, like just not even doing anything productive, like staring at a wall, like scrolling on my phone. Like there's just, it's so dull and monotonous. Your brain like tricks you into thinking like this is how you should be. But if you just get up and change it, like change any behavior, do one good little thing for yourself, like drinking a glass of water, taking a shower, I don't know, eating a snack.
That's actually something that has helped my mental health a lot recently. Is ever since COVID, we've all been kind of struggling with this. And by COVID, I mean 2019, 2020.
3 years ago.
It's still going on.
It's still.
We've all been struggling with the fact that like everybody got furloughed, the world kind of hesitated. Now we're going back to work maybe, and then there was that like weird realization of like maybe grind culture is not where we're supposed to be, and it's like not a thing to be bragging about. And that's something that like is a hard mindset to get out of, because everybody's like, I have 7 jobs and I work all day long. Look how good I'm doing in life. That's not a healthy way of living. If that's the way you like to live, no big deal, fine. But that's a mindset that like got engraved into everybody's brains, and that's really triggering for people's mental health. And so one thing that's been helping me a lot recently is that like I struggle because I live alone and I create my own schedule and I do a good job of getting all my tasks done and stuff, but sometimes you just fall behind. And so what I do or tell myself is that it's okay to do one thing a day. I try to set one task, even if it is a single task, like taking a shower that day. I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to get a shower, and maybe I can't even get a full shower. I'm an avid fan of whore baths where you just sit on the ground and you just splash yourself from the tap.
It's something.
It's
man.
fine. Like if you can only do one task, I'm not saying my one task is to do the entire cleaning of the house. No, I said I was going to take the trash out. If I ended up wiping my counters as well, look at me.
2 tasks.
I did something great. That's okay. It's not about grind culture. You don't have to do the entire house in one day and get the groceries and go to the store and go pick up the mail and do this. You can do one thing a day, and that's okay. You are still valid. There is so much time and love for you if you can only do that one task. And it can be simple as not doing a task. The other day, I've been dealing with a lot of health, as my last podcast had a lot of triggering stuff talking about self-harm and loss of life. And so the other day I was like, the only thing I'm gonna do today is read. It's not really a task, but I just read all day by myself. That's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. I think it's good to have like a plan for yourself, just to have something to look forward to. You know, like if you're in a really bad spot one day and like Clocky said, your only like goal for yourself is to do something you enjoy, that's fine. Like when I was in college, I had this nutrition class, and my professor at the time I thought was just very, I want to say like progressive with nutrition and like not even diet culture, but like nutrition and what you intake. And what he said was like, it's always better to add a little good, even if it brings some like bad, we would say. Like he would say like, so do you think you should recommend people eat broccoli even if it's deep fried and covered in cheese? And we were all like, no. He's like, no, you should, because at least you get the nutrients from the broccoli. Like that's much more important. Like whatever little good you can add, especially in a time when a lot is bad, like that's all you need. Just do like one little good thing for yourself. And one of like the coping mechanisms I developed for myself was I made a list of like everything I knew would help me feel better just in life. Like I really like coffee, so if I could just like make myself a coffee a day, that really helped me just like look forward to the next day kind of thing. And obviously like the list has more than that. Like I like walks, sitting in the sun, playing with my cat. Honestly, like it was just seeing my cat's face that was like on my list. It was just like seeing my cat. And you just need like the very smallest, like whatever you can think of that will bring you joy. Like write that down on a list, and if you're in a bad place, just refer to the list and try one of those things. Like literally like listening to your favorite song, playing your favorite game, listening to your favorite streamer, watching your YouTube people, like
me.
Yeah, like Clocky.
Me.
Come check out her channel.
I do that with my cats a lot too. Like whenever I'm bad mental health wise, I have to go like, what would happen to me, or if something happened to me, where'd my cats go? And I'm like, no, that's not fair. I like my cats.
Right.
I haven't had enough time with my
Right.
cats. They're my cats. But again, that's kind of like that grind culture where sometimes you can't sleep at night because you're like, tomorrow, oh man, I have to go to work tomorrow, and then I have to go to the grocery store tomorrow, and I have to do this tomorrow. And sometimes you do have those days. You're gonna have days where you have to do too much in one day that you don't want to. But if you use that time instead to focus on, maybe you are gonna do all those things, but only focus on one. I'm going to do that meeting tomorrow. I just have that meeting tomorrow. If I get that meeting done, everything else is a bonus. Even if you said that you were gonna do it, just think about the one thing. Because if you overthink everything, it's just never going to get you further in life. And then you write down those coping mechanisms, or what are the things that make you happy. Going on walks, seeing the sunshine, petting your cats, petting your dog, buffalo chicken cheesesteaks.
Yeah, you're a big
crab
fan
fries
of
from Chickies and Pete's.
Oh yeah, that was good too. How we bonded in the early days. Chicken Pete's crab fries. It's a very East Coast thing. I literally never heard about it until it's like, yeah, just like this little.
It's just this area.
This little tri-state area. There's only like, I don't know.
Because it's at every Philadelphia sports venue.
True. There's not that many restaurants either.
No, there's not. Closest one here is like an hour away. Which isn't too bad. Or no, it's like 45 minutes. Not too bad of a drive though.
So yeah, getting back to it, if you want to get to talk therapy, my therapist was just like meh, because she was helpful in like that she provided an ear to my problems, but she wasn't helping me like move forward. So she actually gave me like cognitive behavioral therapy textbooks. I was like, I need something else. Like thank you for this. Here's my money. I need more. So
I'm doing okay.
What do I pay you for, Karen? That's not her name. It's just a funny one. So I was like reading on a cognitive behavioral therapy, and like the basics of it is like you're just looking at your thoughts and how you're reacting to them, and then trying to change your behavior with it. Like this is so random, but one of the examples I read in the book was like this girl had a lot of social anxiety at school. So when she like saw somebody, she would just, like the popular girls, she would see them and then have all these thoughts in her head like, oh my God, like what are they thinking about me? What are they saying about me? And then she would just like isolate and then disengage from school in general. And then, like not go to school and stuff. So one of the other options was to, when you have that anxiety, like I like to think of like what is happening versus like what do I think is happening. So the moment she should just kind of take a moment to think about what's going on is if she sees the girl and you have that initial like panic, just take a moment to be like, all right, is she really talking shit about me, or does it not even matter? Because most times we don't matter in other people's lives. Like we're very just NPC in everybody else's life because you're your main character. And that's the same in everybody else's head. So like you're probably not even a thought that crosses someone's mind. So you don't have to take things personally. So I think when you have that mindset, as opposed to like this person's out to get me, then you at least can change your initial thought to it and then just move on with your life in that scenario, like then just go back and focus on your school instead. That's a very like crude example, but I think that's like the basics of it from what I read from my therapist textbooks.
Well, that's actually one of my favorite quotes. So there's a book which is now turned into a short on Apple TV called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It's a book that was gifted to me by my aunt a few years ago, and it became one of my favorite books. It's kind of a I don't even want to call it a children's book, but it's a short picture novel with a few words per page. I don't know what you would call that, but I'm gonna say children's book, even though I wouldn't put
Illustrated book, maybe?
Illustrated book, I don't know. In it, it's like one of the deepest books I've ever read in my entire life, and every time I'm in a poor mental health state, I always read it because it's so heartwarming.
It's your comfort item.
But if you don't want to get the book, you could definitely watch it on Apple TV. But regardless, there is a page in there that says, is one of the greatest things in life that we have is the ability to control how we react to things.
100%, yeah.
And like that line has stayed in my head ever since I read that book a few years ago. And it goes along exactly with what Min's saying, is like, your greatest control in life is how you react to anything around you. You have the ability to rage out, to scream at the TV, to throw the TV out the window if you want to.
100%.
Or you can take a step back. You can breathe. You can meditate, which we'll get into next. You can maybe go, maybe that's not the way that I want to be portrayed. You have full control on how you react to things.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, we'll get into meditation next. Why not? It's a good tool to just help you kind of separate yourself from all those moments in your life when you feel like you're not in control. Because unless you're in like a natural disaster or something, I feel like mental health, you are creating situations in your head that don't necessarily line up with reality. And like, I actually work in a nursing home, so there are people that are in really bad situations, like they don't have legs, they don't have vision, they have to eat like mashed food. But there's always something that you can control. I don't have teeth.
I need to suck on something.
Yeah, this one lady was like, give me something to suck. I was like, you got cookies or pretzels? And she's like, I can't eat those. I'm like,
I don't have teeth.
I was like, okay. But yeah, there's definitely like, don't get me wrong, terrible situations. But I would say for the most part, and even with those people, like I just sit them down and like give them a moment and I ask them, like, what is still good in your life? Like, what do you still enjoy? What do you like? Let's focus on that. Like, people are like, I can't walk, you know, like I don't have the strength. I only have one leg. I can't walk. I'm like, well, let's just work on like standing. Let's just work on getting from your bed to your wheelchair. Let's just work on like what can be one of your goals, you know, something small. And that carries across for everybody. So I do think even if you're in an awful situation, you can still control your next move. So if you just sit, and meditation is really just, giving yourself the space to look at situations. And a very helpful tool that people use is just watching your breath. So you literally just say like in and out when you breathe. Well, in like Vietnamese, it's like rising and falling of your stomach. So you just say like rise and fall. You just watch your stomach. Inhaling,
say
exhaling.
It in Vietnamese.
I can say it.
It's like, I'm not sure how that helps, but go for it.
Foam and sap. So if you want to try to say those things to help you ground yourself, like...
Now you know Vietnamese. Congratulations. You didn't know you were going to learn that today.
You're welcome. But also, when you have something else to kind of focus on, it gives you just the power to disassociate a little bit from whatever's causing you stress or like hurting you physically or mentally. Like you have a moment to be with yourself and just see what the situation really is. And I find that the more I meditate, the more clarity I have in decision making and like what is going on. Like we don't really have like a manual or a guide for how we should be as people. Like you don't have a guide for being Clocky. I don't have a guide for being Min. But if you meditate, and there's so many resources out there that you can look up, and I can like send some to Clocky to link for you guys. But if you just kind of, when you meditate, you're like exploring this room in yourself and finding the manual for like how you operate. You know, like if you have, let's say like I have a fight with my boyfriend and I'm not really responding, I'm just reacting. Like if I'm hangry and my boyfriend's not told me when we're gonna eat because he's running errands, then I get really upset. And when he gets back, I get really quiet, and then I get really short and like snappy with him. And he'll be like, I don't like this right now. I don't need this. I'm gonna go without you. So then I'll be like, well, fuck you, you know, but not really, because, you know, in my head, I'm like, well, fuck you. But fuck you, I'm just gonna eat scraps now. But
Gotta eat out of the trash can.
I will eat over a trash can. But when I have a moment to like sit and like breathe, like literally right after, I'm like, okay, like I could have just said, hey, I didn't like that I had to wait so long for you, and now I'm really hungry. Can we please go pick a place to eat? Like, can we please focus on the food? And I immediately like took that into my like future. Like as soon as we had communication again, I apologized and like said like, yeah, I'm sorry, like my behavior was not right, like I'm gonna fix this. And when you realize like what the trigger is, you can kind of navigate around the outcome. So it's definitely something that's like improved. And now, because he knows like me being hungry and waiting for food is a trigger for me, he will always be very mindful, and sometimes he'll like joke about it. He'll be like, oh, I know you're getting hungry, so we're gonna go do that right now. So it helps like to, when you figure out like your what's it called when you like guides for stuff like in games, is there a word for that? Is it just guide? When you figure out like
guide,
the manual,
walkthrough, manual.
Yeah, when you figure out that stuff for yourself, you can like let people in on what's going on with you, and then that helps that situation kind of just ripple through, you know, because then if you know how you operate, you can tell other people how you operate, and if you have good people in your life, they'll respect that about you and, you know, give you what you need.
Yeah, and there's no set way to do anything, and like with the meditation, I was about to say medication. I was like, that's not right. We're not on that topic anymore.
They're so close, though.
The meditation, there's not one way to meditate. It's not sitting on the ground with your knees folded and that's not what we mean by meditate.
Not.
It's thinking of just getting from the wheelchair to the bed. It's the one thing that you can focus on.
Right.
There was a story on Reddit I read a few years ago that has stayed with me, where it can be anything, and no matter what you think it is, you may laugh at yourself in your head and be like, that's such a stupid thing to meditate on. If it saves your life, it is not stupid. So the story on Reddit was that a young man was planning on committing suicide. He had picked the date, he had, you know, wrote his notes, he had planned everything, and he was going to say goodbye to his family with like an event, and he was going to then kill himself on that date. Before he could do that, Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out. And him and his younger sister bought the game, or their parents bought the game for them. At the time, they didn't have a whole lot of money, so it was like super exciting that they got the game. And him and his sister got so enraptured in the game and playing it together and making, you know, funny voices while playing it and singing the sea shanties and playing it. And then the next thing he knew, he checked the calendar and it had passed the date he was supposed to kill himself. And he had realized that later in life, because he's now still going, that Assassin's Creed Black Flag essentially saved his life, because it brought him back to his family, it brought him back to the joy of video games, it brought him to creativity of, you know, playing and living in an imaginary world. And if you meditate on something like Assassin's Creed, or playing Valorant or League of Legends, sounds a little toxic, but playing with your friends, or playing games or anything, it doesn't have to be sitting with candles and aromatherapy, which is good for you, by the way, but it doesn't have to be that. If it is enough to save your life, it is important. And no one should ever judge you or laugh at you for that. If your suicide date passes because you were so busy playing Assassin's Creed, then congratulations. You are still alive, and that is amazing. Because it's not easy to find something to get you through, and if that does, that's amazing. And no matter how silly your brain tries to tell you that it is, it's not. And you can meditate on that, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be one set thing. There's no guide or manual or walkthrough in life.
I will say though, like, interactions with things is sometimes not meditation, because like meditation specifically is like taking a step back and looking. So like if you were to play Assassin's Creed and you have the realization like, wow, this is helping me, like that is meditation, because you're being aware. Like meditation is like a way to get self-aware. So maybe after you're playing, then you're like, oh, like I feel better.
There's more
because
to
of
life
this. Yeah.
than
Exactly.
the doom I thought I was going to have. I can play games again. I can see my friends. And wait, there are things that still bring me joy. I'm not done yet.
Yeah, and then that can help you, you know, find more coping mechanisms and just motivations in life. So
it could be the moment that you realize that going on those walks are something that you need.
Right.
Seeing the sun is something that you need. And suddenly you have a drive for the future because you're like, oh, wait, I am going to be okay. It's not easy, and it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, I will say like something that is a meditation tool for me that's really helped is recognizing our thoughts and emotions as the weather. Like if my friends are ever in a lot of stress and they're like, oh, you know, like work is just like killing me. I have no time to breathe. Like, I think like, I don't know if my life will be good. And I'm like, well, the work is kind of just like a season, but you know, if you look at it in this way, like it's just the weather and it's not you, you know, like you're okay. It's just like the weather is affecting you in a certain way. So meditation is like a tool to help you either have like a raincoat or an umbrella and realize like, yeah, it's like a bad rainy day, but that doesn't mean like your life is bad. You know, like one bad day doesn't mean you have a bad life. And if you can find the ways to help you, you know, have better days, then you can have a better life. Yeah, so that's that. And yeah, so like for me, I was raised Buddhist and we did have to do all those like lame chants and I had to sit in temple for like hours just doing ohms. And at the time I didn't appreciate it because when you're young, it's just an obligation and it's not something you want to do. It's just something you're forced to do. And I find that to be a bit of an issue with like all religion, like the obligation of it. But what I did enjoy about Buddhism is like you don't have to. Like as I got older and like I could stay home by myself, my mom would be like, oh, you don't have to go if you don't want to. But once I realized like the benefit from it and how much I enjoyed being quiet with myself, it's very helpful. So I go to like Buddhist retreats every once in a while, and it's just like a very mindful time. Like that's the biggest like takeaway from meditation in Buddhism is you're just trying to be mindful of like what's going on. The biggest, I guess, like the basis of Buddhism is that life is suffering no matter what. Like even if you have a good life, you will still have loss. Your, you know, family and friends will die one day, and your pets will die one day, and you'll lose things, you'll lose friends, you'll have hard days, you might have accidents, you know, like traumatic ones, like car accidents or physical harm accidents, or you might see people you love go through those things. Like that's just part of life. So with Buddhism, we use meditation to realize that there's not really a way out, you know, like that's just part of life. But if you, this is like deep Buddhism now, if you like realize that your attachments are causing you suffering, you can let things go and still enjoy them for what they are, and know that you'll have that memory with them still. So like one metaphor that I read in Buddhism that really stuck with me is you can see a flower, and if you get flowers, you can see them dying, and maybe that makes you sad to see like something so beautiful and alive just start to wilt away. But if you're a farmer and you have like a flower farm, you know that when those flowers die, they help fertilize the ground to produce new flowers. So life is like cyclical. Just because you lose one good thing doesn't mean the rest of your life is bad. You will find another good thing. Like when I lost my family dog, his name was Ollie. I couldn't imagine like another being, like another creature that could bring me so much joy and like, you know, feel that warmth in your heart for a furry friend again. But I got my cat a few years ago, Orca, and he's just the best. Like, it's amazing to feel those feelings again, you know, like, and that's the very basis of reincarnation that Buddhism has. Like, you know, in a grand sense, like Buddhists believe like when you die, you are reborn as like another being. But if you look at it in day to day, like moments are being reborn and dying every moment. Like you lose every moment and you gain a new moment every time. So if you can think of a way, or if you can work on it to see that, you know, things will pass, good and bad, you'll always see more good. Like the bad is like inevitable, but you'll always be able to find the good. So yeah, that's very deep Buddhism for you. You're welcome.
We're not making anybody become a Buddhist. We're not forcing Buddhism on anything. We are just simply talking about the
principles
and
of it.
principles of what Buddhism is and what she was raised on and how she views mental health.
Right.
And if you start to accept some of those principles, that does not mean you have to convert to Buddhism.
No. Buddhism is cool in that, like,
you can just understand the principles and apply them to whatever religion you do use or whatever way of life you do like to use. But the way that Buddhism works is that they just have kind of more relaxed, generalizing life principles as opposed to necessarily worship tactics and things like that. And you can keep whatever religion you believe in, but that's just what we're saying. I'll just throw that out there. We're not forcing no one to do any religions.
Yeah, you can become whatever you want to be. Buddhism is cool because, at least for me, how I was raised, like, we never wanted to force it on anybody. But if it helps you, you can take whatever you want. Like, cherry pick all you want with Buddhism. Like, whatever applies to your life, you can take it. And you don't have to be Buddhist. You don't have to be a monk or a yogi. You don't have to, like, go to retreats. Like, none of that. You can just be like, it's an interesting idea to think that, you know, there could be reincarnation. Like, that's fine. You can have that thought.
You may not even think that, like, life itself gets reincarnated, but the simple thing of, like, the moments where the good moment, the bad moment, the good moment, the bad moment.
Right. Yeah.
It's not necessarily, or you can take that and realize maybe it's not necessarily reincarnation, but, you know, the cliche of history always repeats itself.
True, yeah, that too.
Thinking about that lesson in an intense way, but like history does repeat itself. So just because you had one good moment and then a bad moment doesn't mean you'll only have bad moments again. You will have a good moment because life will repeat. Life repeats. It's weird. We live in a spiral universe. Everything spins. It's gonna come back. You just keep going.
Yeah, and then it's helpful also to just enjoy whatever good you're in, you know, because it will end, you know? And then this is just for, I guess, fun or information, like a little bit of just drugs and like psychedelics, because I like them and I find that some of them really help you just get a different perspective on life, or they can help you kind of like find that moment for yourself, you know, kind of like that quiet in your head. So I don't know, Clocky, if you really care to ask about any of it, but it's interesting. It's not for everybody. You definitely have to have a safe space and people you trust. So if you don't get to have that, then I would say do not take the opportunity to do it if you are in like not a safe space, because that's how drugs get misused. But I am a big proponent of drug use in the correct context. So yeah, if you have the opportunity with like your very close friends to do something and you feel safe, then you do it. But if you don't feel safe, even if you're with a good group, then you don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's that.
Simple as that.
Yeah, but there's some pretty cool, like, you know, mind altering ones that, yeah, just give you perspective. And a lot of them, though, you do need to be in a pretty good mindset. Like they always say set and setting. Like set is like your mindset, and then setting is like where you are, who you're with. The setting can overpower your set. So like if you're in a good environment with friends and you're listening to music or you're watching a good movie, like light stuff, like do not get into heavy stuff, and you like take a drug, it can help you just like realize like, oh wow, like life is awesome, you know, for some stuff every once in a while. You really shouldn't be engaging in them that often, because they can really fuck with your brain chemistry. So like even I don't do things very often, but I think every once in a while it does help just give that perspective. And yeah, cool.
Everything in moderation.
100%, yeah.
But that's kind of wrapping up like our takes on some other new coping mechanisms that I haven't gotten on too much in this channel, and talking about our experiences with anxiety and depression. And if you have any questions for us, or you want Min back, which is easy because that means I get to hang out with her, let me know in the comment section, let me know in the reviews, leave a like, check us out. And is there anything else you wanted to add, or any other points or wrap-up points that you wanted to make?
I don't think so. I think just the biggest thing is always look for what's good in your life, no matter how small. I know it sounds really stupid, but that's the most important stuff. Like the small things always add up to bigger things. And when you see things in media that are powerful, they're powerful because they're small moments over a long amount of time. And those are the best memories. Like for me, stuff with my friends is like small, like, you know, Clocky and I were just talking about eating wings and Chicken Pete's crab fries. Like we've done bigger things, like we've gone out and, you know, done more planned out things, I would say, but it's always the little things that, you know, really touch your heart and just give you motivation to keep going, because those little things are very easy to replicate with anybody.
Mm-hmm. It's those day-to-day things, and then reminding you that there is no guide. What we're saying isn't the only way to take care of your mental health. We're not perfect. We're still struggling. I still have some panic attacks. I'm on medication. She's doing her meditation, whatever, and Buddhism and things like that. There's no one way, but these are some additional thoughts to help, and doing any combination. Or there's literally a bird right there.
Oh my gosh. It's like right at the window. So, on the outside. It's just showing us his butt.
I've never had a bird land there. Okay. That's going to be on the podcast. Sorry, I've never had a bird land that close to my window. I didn't even think you could hear birds from in this room. But yeah, love it. I love birds, so that's one thing that gets me through the day. I love birds.
Seeing a bird.
I love bird watching. And now my whole day is really excited because I couldn't remember the name of that bird. And you know what I'm going to do when this podcast's over? Go look up that bird, because it made me really excited to see that bird. It can be anything. It's not stupid. It's worth it. You're worth it. Combination of things. Take care of yourself. Learn how to react to things. Mm-hmm. You're in control, even if you think that you're not. And that is a hard mindset to get over. Grind culture isn't a positive atmosphere. It's okay to do one task a day. Medication is okay to take. Just make sure that you're in a safe space when taking it, and that you're aware of side effects or things that can happen to you. Take a look at possibly other spiritualities, other practices, look at your own religion, find ways to take care of yourself, self-reflect, deep breaths, breathing techniques. There's a lot of ways to help yourself, and it's okay to not be okay, but
Clocky's
it will be
here for
okay.
you.
I'll be here for you. You can check out my other episodes on this podcast, which are available on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music, and here on Anchor. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Min, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll see you in the next episode. But for now, I'm clocking out. Bye!